So speaking of legacy, what do you hope that your legacy is going to be?
There is part of me that I will be able to leave this earth, knowing and people knowing that I was a good person.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, dead at the age of 54 on a drowning accident while he was vacationing with his family in Costa Rica.
I haven't wronged anybody to get ahead, and people that I may have hurt or wronged unintentionally, I know I haven't wronged anybody. If I die tomorrow, I know I would go with a smile on my face.
We've just received an update on the tragic death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. According to ABC7, the beloved actor sadly drowned while on vacation in Costa Rica. This devastating news was confirmed after reports revealed he was found in the waters off the coast on Sunday. Now, this loss brings to light something comedian Katt has been saying for years, especially when it comes to black men in Hollywood. He's always warned that if you don't play by Hollywood's rules, they'll find a way to push you out. When you take a closer look at Malcolm's career, that warning hits harder than ever.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
Malcolm wasn't the type to chase after fame or play the game. In fact, he even turned down roles that would have reduced black men to stereotypes, and honestly, that says a lot about the kind of person he was. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was never one to fall into the trap of the dress up, act like a fool stereotype. He refused to compromise his dignity for the sake of fame, and for that very reason, he was pushed to the sidelines. Not because of his talent, which was undeniable, but because he wouldn't play the game. But now that he's gone, all these media outlets and celebrities are suddenly calling him a legend, praising his underrated contributions to Hollywood. It makes you wonder, though, where was all that admiration when he was still here? Where was the recognition when he was making real, meaningful work on his own terms? This isn't about some wild conspiracy theory for clicks. It's about a disturbing pattern. Katt has been sounding the alarm for years about how the industry treats those who dare to say no. So let's dive into what Katt has been exposing, what Malcolm truly stood for, and why, now that he's passed, the praise is flowing in when it was missing all along.
Let's be very, very clear. We are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, forever remembered as Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show, tragically passed away on July 20th, 2025, while on a family vacation in Lyman, Costa Rica. The heartbreaking incident unfolded while Malcolm was swimming with his 8-year-old daughter. The two got caught in a rip current, a notorious danger at that beach. Sadly, the beach was unprotected that day. Lifeguards had been moved to other beaches after a series of recent incidents, and no one was stationed to help. As they struggled in the water, nearby surfers saw what was happening. One quickly rescued the daughter, but by the time another surfer reached Malcolm, it was too late. Despite the swift response from first responders, they were unable to revive. The cause of death was asphyxia by submersion. The surfer who attempted to save him was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Malcolm's autopsy report was eventually released, confirming that his death was indeed a tragic accident.
What makes that beach so treacherous?
It's similar to other beaches where there are strong rip currents that are deceiving. The first thing that they do is they bring him to the surface and give the emergency respiration right there in the water on the surface. And when he didn't respond to that, my friend rapidly took him into the beach and they immediately began CPR.
But the reason his passing has impacted so many of us so deeply goes beyond just the loss of a beloved actor. Malcolm was one of those rare Hollywood child stars who managed to stay true to himself, avoiding the traps that claim so many others in the industry. He wasn't just a child star. Malcolm was a self-made multimillionaire, an Emmy-nominated actor, a Grammy-winning musician, an accomplished poet, director, and a passionate social activist. On top of all that, he lived a life of personal integrity. He was happily married, never divorced, and a devoted father who raised his kids without any scandals or out-of-wedlock drama. It's clear Malcolm was loved and respected by virtually everyone he worked with throughout his career, and his legacy is one of grace, talent, and a commitment to doing things the right way.
I asked the universe for a girl first, and I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it. because slow me down and warm, it softened me up.
Malcolm was the epitome of what it means to be a secure, grounded man in today's world. He moved with purpose and authenticity, something you don't often see in the Hollywood spotlight. But then, in the blink of an eye, he's gone, taken by a freak accident after 54 years of great health, while enjoying paradise with his family. The only real tragedy in Malcolm's life, that it was cut too short. But in the time he had, he absolutely crushed it, showing us all what a beautifully lived life looks like. But here's the thing we need to address. Hollywood ghosted him while he was alive, and now the warnings Katt Williams has been giving for years make more sense than ever.
It's a cabal. It's a consortium. They rock with who they rock with, and they don't with who they don't.
Malcolm didn't fall off. No, he just refused to play the Hollywood game. After The Cosby Show, he had endless opportunities, big network shows, loud sitcom roles, slapstick movies. He could have done it all, but instead, he chose to walk his own path. And in doing so, he paid a price that no one should have to pay. Instead of chasing fame and taking every role that came his way, Malcolm stayed low-key and intentional about his career. He said no to roles that reduced Black men to foolish or cartoonish stereotypes. No dresses, no clown acts, no playing into degrading tropes. Malcolm was determined to represent something real.
The emotions came up for me is because I've spent, so much of the early part of my life listening to being celebrated on one hand, but paying way too much attention to the naysayers.
And this brings us right back to Katt Williams, who's been calling out the industry for years. He's been shouting this from the rooftops, whether in interviews, stand-up specials, or podcasts. Katt has always spoken about how Black entertainers are boxed in by Hollywood, forced into a mold if they want to make it big. They have to play a character, one that fits the industry's narrow expectations. And Katt, just like Malcolm, turned down those same roles. The fat suits, the wigs, the loud, over-the-top antics. As a result, both men were labeled as difficult, crazy, and unreliable. Malcolm, however, was far from any of those things. He was a talented, disciplined, and intelligent man who refused to conform. But because he wouldn't play along with the Hollywood formula and wouldn't perform for the cameras, he was sidelined. Malcolm didn't care about Hollywood. In fact, he was thriving outside of it. He launched his own podcast, Not All Hood, where he often spoke out about the damaging ways Hollywood and mainstream media portray Black people as a monolithic group. Instead of caving to Hollywood's demands, Malcolm chose to align himself with projects that championed social justice and education. He produced and acted in plays and documentaries that focused on Black history and the fight against systemic racism. In 2021, Malcolm wrote an eye-opening op-ed for the Television Academy, where he called out the glaring issues in the industry. He pointed out that white network and studio executives, writers, producers, and directors are the ones holding the keys to how Black people are portrayed on TV. He highlighted the cycles where the gatekeepers occasionally loosen their grip, giving Black creatives a brief, false sense of control. But Malcolm wasn't fooled. He knew that real change would come only when the power structures shifted for good. Malcolm didn't just stop at calling out Hollywood's portrayals of Black people, he also took a stand on how the media presents Black characters, even when they're given professions or higher socioeconomic status. The stereotypes often persist, just dressed up in a more respectable patch. He also wasn't afraid to speak out against modern rap and hip-hop, especially the misogyny and toxic masculinity that often dominate the culture. He called for more accountability and healing within the community, urging for a change that went beyond the surface. And let's not forget the Kendrick versus Drake beef that went viral last year. Malcolm didn't hold back, criticizing how hip-hop and rap only seem to get the spotlight when drama and conflict dominate the narrative.
There should be a moratorium on both of those words in hip-hop because it's low-lying fruit, it's so easy, everybody does it to the point that it's corny. There are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore because I love J. Cole, but I had to stop listening to J. Cole because I got tired of hearing
as much as
every two sentences because he's proven himself to be such a incredible lyricist.
This was exactly what Katt Williams has been warning about, the way the industry lifts you up only when they can control your story. Malcolm wanted to show the world that Black men are smart, complex, and real, not just stereotypes or one-dimensional characters. People wanted him to stay in the teen heartthrob box or take on goofy side roles, but he refused. He turned down a lot of work that could have made him more famous, all because he wasn't willing to compromise who he was or the message he stood for. Malcolm's refusal to play the game came at cost. While other Black actors from the same era were blowing up by leaning into stereotypes, chasing big paychecks, and playing roles that fed into the industry's expectations, Malcolm stuck to his principles. Sure, some of those actors made it work, but that wasn't the path Malcolm chose. He stayed true to himself, and while it earned him respect, it also came with consequences. In interviews, Malcolm even hinted that his team had told him he was too serious and not marketable enough. In other words, you're too Black, too smart, too principled, and when you don't fit into their mold, they stop stop calling. This perfectly aligns with what Katt Williams has been saying for years. If you refuse to play the fool and take part in the humiliation ritual, Hollywood erases you. And now, after his tragic passing, the narrative has shifted. Hollywood and the media are suddenly all over Malcolm. Tributes, social media posts, and articles flooding in, calling him a legend and a pioneer. But where was all this love before? The truth is, because Malcolm didn't chase fame or fall into Hollywood's usual traps, he was largely ignored by the big platforms and snubbed by the award shows. The same system that rejected him now wants to claim him as one of their own. Now suddenly, streaming services are talking about unreleased projects featuring Malcolm's name. Networks are hyping up tributes, and celebrities are sharing heartfelt stories about him. It's as if overnight he became the safe Black icon, someone everyone now wants to celebrate. And that's exactly the industry playbook at work. They don't uplift you for being real or principled while you're alive. No, they wait until it's safe to repurpose your image for brand building, woke points, and profit.
Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that that happened, but propaganda is something that is important to all civilizations.
Katt Williams warned about this years ago. The system only acknowledges Black talent when it fits their narrative, and when that person can no longer fight back. So the question now is this genuine respect for Malcolm and his legacy, or is it just another convenient attempt to profit off his image now that he's gone? This is the usual Hollywood cleanup after the fact. Malcolm's career and his refusal to sell out made him a target for being sidelined, not celebrated. Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just another celebrity. He was one of the rare few who stayed grounded, thoughtful, and deeply committed to his values in an industry that often rewards the opposite. He chose purpose over popularity, and that made him easy to overlook until now. His death isn't just tragic, it serves as a painful reminder of how rare it is to see someone move with integrity in Hollywood. But I want to hear what you think. Was Malcolm pushed out for not playing along? Why does it always take someone's death for the industry to finally take notice? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Black Spotlight for more. I'll catch you in the next video.